Hello, Tech Pros, episode 247.
So if you really want to become the master and do it the best that you can, you must do what you love, and then you must try and try and try, and you will find many obstacles into that, and you eventually will figure out how to solve that and move forward to the better thing.
Welcome to the podcast where we explore the opportunities, challenges, and anxieties that technical professionals and techpreneurs face when building their career, building their products, and building their business. This show is about the people behind technology and the mindsets and skill sets they developed that led to their success. You can learn more about this podcast and our guests at hellotechpros.com and about overcoming social anxiety at anxietynerd.com. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Avi Kasztan. Happy Saturday, Avi.
Hi, Chad. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you bet. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I read through your bio earlier, and I'm very interested in this topic. I know a little bit about it, but not much. And so I think what we're going to talk about today is really going to resonate with the audience. I think we're going to have a lot of people that are going to be interested in this. So audience members, Avi Kasztan is the co-founder and CEO of Sixgill. Originally from Uruguay, Avi moved to Israel at the age of 18 and has become a successful entrepreneur. Avi has a degree in computer engineering and an MBA from Technion and has both worked at and founded several startups in the technology and cybersecurity field. So, Avi, this is very interesting. Man, congratulations on being an entrepreneur, starting several businesses. That takes a lot of hustle, a lot of hard work, and a lot of dedication. What does the word entrepreneurship, when you hear that, when people talk about that, what does entrepreneurship mean to you?
Wow, it's such a word that it takes so much into it. For me, what I understand about entrepreneurship is just fulfilling your dreams in how you see that things should work and should be. It's really creating something from something that was or not even was there before, or it's improving something in a substantial way, so you can improve the life of many, many people. That's how I see the entrepreneur.
Man, I love that definition because so many times I hear just the first part of that, right? So many people say, hey, it's about creating something from nothing. It's about building something that didn't exist before. But I love the idea of continual improvement. I love the idea of taking something that already exists and just adding a new flavor to it, adding a new feature to it, and making it a little bit better and more usable, or as you put it, improving the life of someone, helping to improve the life by adding something to an area that already exists. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is how what it's been for me, at least. Yes.
Cool. So your company Sixgill works in the area of cybersecurity, and a lot of stuff that I checked out on your website, it's talking about analyzing the dark web. So the dark web, when I first heard it, I said, that sounds like a villain from a Spider-Man movie. I don't think it is. I think it's something more than that. So tell us, what is the dark web?
Well, the dark web, the web, the internet, is you have basically two definitions, two terms. One is the deep web and one is the dark web. The deep web, it's everything that is not indexed by regular search engines, and it's also called hidden web. It comprehends about 95-96% of the internet, while the dark web is a subgroup of the deep web that basically, besides all these characteristics, it's also anonymous and encrypted. So that's the definition. The idea, it started historically, part of the dark web at least was developed by the government of the US, the Navy, as far as I remember, And they have very good intentions in doing that. They wanted to ensure that there is communication if there is a word that comes up, or even to enable people that in places where there is no freedom to be able to freely communicate. So these had really very good intentions. And there is a saying that says that the way to hell is followed by very good intentions. And that's exactly what happened with the dark web. With the time, more people that they have less good intentions started to join and to join, and several industries developed around that. So today you can find everything there in the dark web, from serious killers to drugs to anything you can imagine. So that's basically what it is.
Got it. I think that clears up a lot of things for me because I've always been confused of the two terminologies, the dark web and the deep web. And in my mind, in the past, those things have been just interconnected or interchanged, right? They meant the same thing. But as I understand your definition, it's really two different things. The deep web is everything that is not indexed by Google, right? So that could be things on my personal computer, or it could be things on a server somewhere that is, maybe behind a firewall or behind some security things that uses a different transport and Google can't get to. And then there's the dark web, which is like the really seedy, like if for good intentions, we want to keep some things private, but it has turned into like a cesspool, a seedy, nasty, dirty place where a lot of really bad stuff is going on. You're talking about drugs and assassins and stuff like that. Sounds like something out of a James Bond movie.
Well, you see, first of all, regarding the deep web, just imagine, for example, that you have a database that is protected with the username and password. So Google, as an example, or other search engines, a normal search engine, they cannot really see what's going on behind the database because it is protected. Or this is just an example. Just think about a dynamically created page. You search for your next vacation in Thailand, and there are some pages that are created in runtime. So this managed to be part of the deep web. So this is not. Sometimes even the deep web is used for bad things. Okay. But the dark web, yes, it adds another dimension to it. What we spoke before regarding the anonymous and encryption for that. Regarding your comment of James Bond, well, sometimes yes, sometimes it is. The amount of creativity that you are able to see there from in these people, it's really, really amazing. And it's amazing, and it's very interesting at the same time.
Okay, so what drew you to this area as you have been building several startups across your career? What made you say, Avi, you know what? I want to jump into the dark web, the deep web, and go after this area of the internet that there's a lot of bad activity on. I want to get into the security space in that side.
Well, my background, I had a lot of luck in the way of working with really very, very smart people along my career, and I did several projects for the army, for example, that they were quite disruptive at that time, and also work in a company named Checkpoint in Israel. That Checkpoint did probably the first commercial firewall. So I really had a lot of luck, and my background it comes from security. So when I created the company, I wanted to. I was feeling that there is something. A technology that is developing and is still not addressed. So a lot of things are going on there, but the technology is not yet developed, and so there is a huge potential into that. they say, for example, how do you choose the best field when you create a startup? And if you, for example, take a look at the Gauss bell, the best thing to do is to choose a technology. Every technology goes around the Gauss bell with the years, with the time. So you need to concentrate in the first stage of this bell, Gauss bell. And this is exactly what was going on with this dark web. So I started to feel, and then I started to inquire and to research, to deeply research if what I wanted to do was really possible. And if it was possible, what's the best way to do it? And why there is no one doing this right now? Or maybe there are others that are doing that. So how they are doing this? And why we are not hearing about that? So these were many questions that I have with me many times. So my first aim that I wanted to achieve is really to bring near me the best people I can bring, the best people that I think that are really, really smart with a lot of experience that can really contribute and be an expert of the field. So we can really create an advisory board and start creating a brainstorm that can lead us to analyze the product both technologically and from the business point of view. So that's basically how we go to the product, to the idea.
Yeah, I think some problems are so big and so obscure, right? That most people don't work in that field because it doesn't make any sense. Like, hey, if nobody is working there, then for some people that says, okay, well that means there's not a market there. But what you said is, nobody's working there, but it's still a big opportunity, and I'm going to dive in and I'm going to bring together the best of the best, kind of this A team of thought leaders, and put this advisory board together. So what kind of problems are you guys solving? Like, who is your ideal customer, and why are they concerned about the deep web, and what do they hire you to do?
Well, theoretically, every organization could be potentially under attack, and a lot of attacks that come from the dark web. We are very focused on two main verticals. One of them is financial, and in that regard, we work with several banks around the world, probably mainly in the US, but not only. We have presence at around between 25 and 28 countries around the world. And we have also governments. We work with intelligence agencies and governments around the world, law enforcement agencies. So these are the type of customers that in general they ask for our service. The type of service that they ask in general, all the customers we are able to see, for example, a lot of attacks before they happen, as they are developing even in the planning stage of them. And then we're able to see it as they happen. And another challenge that there is within the dark web, you have many challenges. For example, one challenge is, like we said before, there is no Google or no normal Google. So the first question you may ask is, how do you know where to go, where to find those things? We have developed a technology that it tells you exactly that. It finds where those things are happening. And then we have developed another technology that is able to extract this information. But even if you manage to find and extract this information, then the next question is, okay, so now what? So now what do you do with that? And you may say, okay, you have the trivial answer. The trivial answer is, if you are my customer, I can ask you, what do you want me to find for you? I can take a look in this information and answer you based on this data, right? And this is something that some companies do. However, we believe that this disturb the customer more than it helps. And the reason is because today they are being bombarded by a lot of alerts and alarms. They don't know what to handle first and what to handle second. And if you don't catch these real-time alerts on time, they're worth nothing. Okay, there are plenty of examples. Okay, just imagine what happened in Target. I think it was around 2 years ago, 2 years and something ago. So sometimes they have the alert and they do nothing because you have too many. We managed to solve this problem, but because we are able to prioritize the alerts, to prioritize in real time. We believe also that the dark web is basically a social network. And in that regards, we learn the modus operandi of the people as they change names and they change places. So we're able to know, we really know the people behind that. And then we applied, if I come back to the example that I gave you before, we apply some behavioral analysis and profiles into this big data. So we say a very simple thing. This is data, that's true, but it is not only data. These are human beings. And when you say human beings, you take into account a lot of things. Okay, for example, you may think that we are all very rational people. And this is just not true. In a lot of situations, everybody of us can behave and probably will behave in a very irrational way. And these guys in the third way, they are not different. They are human beings as everybody else. So we use this algorithm, these patterns and behavioral analysis that we take from some intelligence agency. We come from Israel, and we have the former CTO of the Mossad in our team. We are very close with this kind of organization, so we know them very well. Most of the staff, they come on from these organizations, or from 8-200, that it is another military elite intelligence unit. So these disciplines, we know them very well, and we apply this into this technology. So when you combine both things, the results are really, really impressive.
So when I, as a consumer, like an individual consumer, thinks about internet security and personal security when I'm on the internet, both for me and for my family, for the companies I work with, I think of, worst case scenario, somebody's going to get my credit card number and they're going to steal all my money, or they're going to steal my identity, and they're going to act on the behalf of Chad and pretend that they're Chad, and that would be really, really bad. What are some of the worst things that come out of the dark web that you're trying to stop?
Well, first of all, not only they may steal your credit card and your identity, but they may kill you. Okay.
Holy sh!
So there is a very soft line between the things. Regarding the second thing that you mentioned, the identity theft that you mentioned, this is a very, very serious thing. Okay, just imagine someone can enter into your home and sell your home, presuming that it's you, when you are not there, and someone that legitimately can and buy your home. So there are a lot of legal issues around that. It's not only they can empty your bank account, but they can take loans on your name, and they can do illegal things on your name. And then you have to prove that it's not you who did that. It's a very, very serious problem. And the implications are awful, really. And it's a complex problem how to solve that. But this is just an example. If you're a business, they can do very, very bad things. For example, you need privacy. They can just go and advertise all your information, and maybe all what you do is to keep all your business is to keep private some information. Just imagine you're a lawyer's firm or a bank or anything else. And then you have the social engineering that they manage to really to harm you in a lot of ways. So regarding the question, what they can do, a lot of things they can do.
My goodness. I mean, when you think of stealing property, stealing information, that's bad. That's really horrible. But when you're talking about potentially the deaths of individual, like you're really talking about assassins, and I just it's blowing my mind here about the bad stuff that goes on in the seedier side. It sounds like Gotham. If you ever follow any of the Batman legacy, right? In Gotham, the town where Batman lives, right? It's just full of crazy people who are all doing really, really horrible, bad, nasty things and torturing people and killing people and stealing all their money and impersonating one another. And it sounds to me like the dark web is just like the Arkham Asylum or the Gotham of the internet. It sounds like a really, really scary place to be. So
well, but think that there are very, very good things out of that too. Okay, this is a philosophical question what you just raised, but there are many things. For example, imagine countries where there is no freedom, so people are able to communicate, or even to communicate even outside and even inside the freedom of expression. That what we are talking, the research that they can do. This has a lot of very good implications as well.
Gotcha. So it's not necessarily that the dark web, meaning the stuff that's not public out there where you can search on the internet, search on Google, the deep web where you normally can't get to. It doesn't mean that that landscape is bad. It doesn't mean that that town, that country of the dark web is bad in and of itself. It's more like the individuals and the behaviors that some of the individuals choose to do. That's bad stuff. Tell you what, Avi, we'll take a break and thank our sponsors. When we come back, I want to talk to you about like some of what we can do to maybe educate ourselves and whether or not we're an entrepreneur, we have our own business, or we're just a private individual, what we can do to make ourselves more secure. But first, we'll take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by you, the audience. Instead of looking for new corporate sponsors, I've decided to adopt a pay-per-value model. What that means is you decide on how much I get paid. If you're just browsing and have yet to get value out of the show, don't feel obligated to pay a darn thing. However, if this podcast does its intended job of helping you build your career, build your products, or build your business, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon. Pick the level of recurring donation that matches the level of value you get out of this show, or make a one-time sponsorship for that big aha moment that have helped turn things around for you. Become a sponsor today at patreon.com/hellotechpros or visit hellotechpros.com/sponsor. Okay, we're back with Avi Kasztan. Avi is the co-founder and CEO of Sixgill at cybersixgill.com, which is a cyber intelligence SaaS startup that analyzes the dark web. And what we've discovered in the first 20 minutes of this episode is Avi is basically Batman who's working in the seedier, dark underbelly sides of the internet and cleaning it up and like taking down the bad guys and the criminals who are literally out to kill people. Man, it scares the crap out of me just talking about it because I don't want one of these assassins to hear this episode and be like, oh yeah, Chad's got to go. So Avi, please protect me. Look out in the dark web to make sure nobody's out to get me. But joking aside, like, this is serious problem. This is really, really serious problems. And I'm trying to make light of it in some aspects, but it's a really serious problem. What can we do both as individuals, as consumers, and as business owners to protect ourselves, to protect our property, to protect our identities so that we don't get attacked from the dark web?
Well, first of all, most of the things are really common sense. It's if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. Secondly, you never expose your credentials, your true credentials. You have to be very careful to which you give to who you give your identity, your real name, social number, etc. This is something that you really need to be very careful what you install in your machine. you have to be very sensitive and very vigilant of the spear phishing. You know what spear phishing? Someone send you an email from a person, from another email that is familiar to you, someone from your family or a good friend, and ask you things that they sound very credible. So you think, okay, this guy, maybe he knows me. It can be my wife, it can be my brother, it can be someone else, and he looks like he is, but he's not. He's someone who is pretending to be. But he did quite a lot of homework about you, so you tend to believe and you don't know. So he may ask you, for example, okay, wire me some money to there, or just send me some private information, stuff like that. But he's not who he says he is. So you need to be very careful about that. The add-ons that you install at your browser, for example, I would say that most of it is common sense, what you can do, and the common sense is a big thing. And from time to time, I would also suggest to reformat the computer, the machine, because you never know what you have inside.
Man, great tips there. We talk about password protection. We talk about, don't click on links that looks sketchy. Back when I worked in a Fortune 100 company, I had good friends that were in the digital security team, and they were hilarious to talk to because they were constantly complaining about, the worst offenders of clicking on links that were spear phishing attacks were actually the executives of the company, right? So the people in IT, even the engineers across the company that weren't in higher ranking situations, they were always very wary about stuff and were very well informed on what to click on, what not to click on, what looked legit and what didn't, what to do about reporting a situation if you saw something that did not look legitimate. But the executives, unfortunately, were the ones who consistently clicked on the things and got the viruses installed and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, guys, you have more control over this company than anybody else. You have more knowledge and information than anybody else. Your lives, your personal information, your ability to make decisions and change things in this company means that you have a lot of power. And when people get access to the company through your credentials, it's really, really bad. Do not click on things that is not legitimate, and really take just an extra 30 seconds to scan the email, look at the domain name, look at the username, and just really make sure that it's from your friend or from a business associate and not from some hacker trying to get in.
Yes, that's exactly. That's very true. Another thing that sometimes is used, the hackers, when in general what they want to do, they have two things that motivates them. The first thing is to get money, and the second thing is not to get caught. So they're always on the line between these two things. Another thing that sometimes it happens, and very unfortunately, is what is called rogue employee. So someone from inside the organization that is really cooperating with the outside people. So these are causing really, really a lot of damage. Sometimes they do it because they want to do it, or something, they are getting something from that, or even they don't like the company or the boss, so this is what they want to do. And sometimes they are not even aware that they are doing that. So these guys, it's like they focus on the weakest link in the company. They're not targeting the executives because they are very well trained for that. Not all of them, I should say, but sometimes they are very well trained. So they go for the weakest link, and they cause him to behave like it was a rogue employee, so cooperating with them without even the employee know that. So they have access to the company, and then they can install something, and then from there the shortcut is there is a very big shortcut into anything else.
Scary, scary stuff. Avi, you said that it's not all bad, right? We don't want to paint this picture that everything in the dark web, everything in the deep web is bad. There's some really good things that come out of it. For instance, there are countries where they don't have freedom, and because they don't have freedom to make their own choices and get on the internet and see what all's out there, they're really limited on what they can do. And so some people in other countries are using the deep web, the dark web, to communicate and interact with the rest of the free world. Can you give us some examples of, maybe not specific people in specific countries, but some examples of how the deep web, the dark web, has really helped in certain areas?
Yeah, what I think, as you say, when a country, for example, and there are plenty of examples about countries, we try to make censorship of certain websites, for example. Then the dark web is a very good way to overcome that. So because they cannot censorship, this is a very good way. Or for example, if some people want to gather in order to discuss some topics in some countries, this is forbidden. So it's something that they can do it even if it is forbidden in those countries. And when you disconnect some people from the outside world, this is not a good thing for anyone. I think that even not for the country. Even though the people that are in power, they get more power because of what they are doing. But in the long term, this is not good. People tend not to know what's going on in other parts of the world, so the rationality even get distorted. So I think that the dark web is making a very good thing into that, even into humanity, if you think about that. So there are many good things too that are because of the dark web, and. But yes, there are a lot of many things that are very awful and not nice. Yeah.
Well, Avi, thank you so much for keeping us informed of this issue and bringing to light some of the dark things in the dark web. Before we go, can you share any parting words of wisdom that you have for our audience, and then the best way that we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye?
I would say that if you want to become an entrepreneur, you really must do what you love. By the way, this is an advice to everyone in everything that they do. If you really want to become the master and do it the best that you can, you must do what you love, and then you must try, and you will find many obstacles into that, and you eventually will figure out how to solve that and move forward to the better thing. What was the second thing you asked me?
The best way that we can connect with you.
The best way to connect with me. Well, I guess it's through email. My email is avi@cybersixgill.com. This is the best way to connect with me.
Well, Avi, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. This is a deep topic. There's a lot of implications, both for good and for bad. And I think what we need is just a lot more education and information. As you said, like when we keep people in the dark about certain topics, or when we keep people segregated from each other, it's not a good thing. And people start getting extremely irrational. So the more that we can do to both shine a light on the dark web and to provide more information about the deep web, I think it will clear a lot of things out for people, and just, if nothing else, make people more aware of their own security. So thank you for coming on the show and talking with us today.
Thank you very much to you, and it was a pleasure.
You bet. Guys, Avi and the audience, listen, I just took a look at the schedule and noticed as we were talking, as Avi was talking, that this episode will be published on December 31st, 2016. And I just wanted to say to Avi, thank you so much for coming on and being the last guest for the podcast on 2016. I really appreciate you as an individual and you coming on the show. And the audience members, I thank you so much for joining me every day, 7 days a week as I publish this. It's been a huge, huge milestone for me to get through now 272 podcast interviews in this year. I launched this podcast in April of this year, and it has been a huge step in facing my own social anxieties and facing the fears that I have about meeting new people and sharing my voice and speaking publicly. And you guys have been here along the way. I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten today, and I wish you all the best for 2017. Take care, find care, be safe, and have a great, great year in 2017. You've been listening to Avi Kasztan, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/247. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If this episode helped you out in any way, please leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you thought. iTunes reviews helps our rankings, which helps us grow the Hello Tech Pros podcast to a broader audience, which helps more technical professionals and techpreneurs build their career, build their products, and build their businesses. If you are a subscriber and get repeat value out of this show, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon. The information on this podcast is free to everyone, but I'm giving you the opportunity to pay for the value you get out of it, starting as little as $1 a month. Pledge your support today at patreon.com/hellotechpros or visit hellotechpros.com/sponsor.